Hi everyone, welcome back up to my probably last video in my Kona Electric. Yeah, today is my last day with the car. It should be going off to its new owner later this afternoon. So today I'm taking it out for its very last ride. It's a bit miserable really. It's dark, it's cold, it's raining, it's not nice for driving. I didn't really want to go out, but one of the things that's crossing my mind now that the car's going and I'm going to be without an electric car for a little while is all those little trips you make. All those little trips where you think, oh, I'll just pop over there, and it's further than you really want to go, but you just don't care because it's not going to cost you anything in fuel. You're using, well, I use solar energy to power the Kona Electric. So all my journeys are for free. It's a really weird feeling that if you want to like pop out to the shops and your local shop is 1 mile away, then that's where you go. But if there's a shop 10 miles away where the bread is nicer and the provisions are nicer and you enjoy the drive where you're going, it's just an hour to be spent driving somewhere nicer, to go somewhere nicer, and to have that little bit extra from your shopping experience, or for whatever it is, or taking the dog for a walk and just going somewhere a little different, a little further away, where in a petrol or diesel car it used to cross my mind about the distance and the cost and whether it was justified in going somewhere. You don't just choose just going anywhere you like because you feel like it in a petrol or diesel car. There feels like there's some sort of restriction, whereas there isn't really. Because, you know, I can afford it, you know, I can put the petrol or diesel in, I can do those things, but there's just that sense that you're freer and you're capable of doing all of these things. If you've got the time, you can go anywhere and take as long as you like and take the long route, the more scenic route. It's just so much better. So this morning, that's one of the things I'm doing. I'm going to my favourite bakery. Yes, it's 10 miles away. For goodness sake, I've travelled over 100 miles there and 100 miles back to go for sausages at my favourite butcher. So the trips you make in an electric car, I feel, to me, are slightly different than they are in a nice car. And it's really sad that I'm letting go of that. It's not sad that the Kona's going necessarily, because I've sort of got used to it. Once I got past the point of deciding, yeah, I really am going to sell the Kona and I really am moving on, then it's like the relationship was over. I'd already fallen, not out of love with the Kona, but there are things that have been happening of late that haven't endeared me to Hyundai or the Kona anyway, so it hasn't been difficult letting go. But yeah, letting go of an EV for a little while, even for a little while, that's proving to be a little bit more heart-wrenching, that I really am going to miss having an EV. It's going to feel odd having that extra cost, having to accept that extra cost to go for trips, and you know, will I or won't I make those extra trips and extra distance. I don't know, it's not a really nice day letting go of the car. So as for selling the car, what's really happened? I had quite a few inquiries, nothing off Facebook groups, those electric vehicles for sale, etc. I didn't have any interest from those sites. There seems to be more Zoes and Leafs and cheaper cars for sale on those sites. I was tempted to use Auto Trader, but I'm just not convinced that Auto Trader works for private customers. They seem to prioritise the trade. I guess that's because that's where most of their business comes from. So I don't think private selling on there gets you much more than scams and annoying phone calls, etc. I don't think there's a lot of real buyers out there on Auto Trader. eBay seems like a better route. I've heard of quite a bit of success of people selling on eBay, but of course not everyone buys and sells on eBay, so you have got a limited market, so it's really difficult to work out whether that's the right way to sell your car. And I was a little surprised at the fees. It was a free advert to place for the car, but £150 if you want to put a reserve on your car, a reserve price. So that makes you think twice about putting it up, because that's the same sort of cost or more than placing the premium advert on Auto Trader. But then when your car sells on eBay, it looks like there's a £250 final valuation fee to pay as well. So £400 just to sell your car by eBay, and there's no guarantee it will sell either. So there just aren't very many good ways to sell a car privately. Very few people want to buy a car of £30,000 as this one is worth. privately they don't have the cash sat there. So sadly my car's been bought by a dealer. Not sadly because I've done less, I've got a very good price for the car, and that's going to stay between me and the dealer, by the way. But I'm very happy with the price. I got pretty close to what I was asking for, and without having to pay any fees for it, I think I've done quite well with that. It's just a shame that a private person hasn't got that car and got that value, and there are a couple of people that have messaged me on YouTube after my video about it being for sale, and one of them especially I would have really liked to have sold the car to. His circumstances where a family member had fallen ill and they needed to take a car back that they'd literally just purchased because it was no longer appropriate, and a Kona Electric would have been perfect for them. It's to hear that the dealers again offered £6,000 to £7,000 less than they paid for the car just a couple of weeks ago in their circumstances, I think just shows how heartless many dealers are, and justifies the comments that I said last time. It's just a really unpleasant industry where they're just selling tin and they don't care about people, they don't care about the cars, and they don't care about fair profit. They just want as much as they can possibly get. There are some dealers out there that are very different, but they're few and far between, and if you find one, use them, because buying and selling through a main dealer, unless you're buying new because you don't really get a choice, I think it's to be avoided. I would much rather buy private if I had the opportunity. So even though I'm not selling my car anymore, if you're thinking about buying an electric car, try Jonathan Porterfield, ecocars.net. Try looking online for those adverts. Obviously people that place adverts on things like Facebook, etc., they're looking for a high price sometimes, and that puts people off. You can always make an offer, and that's better than them not selling at all and having to trade it in. It's a bit of a stumbling block, because if you keep prices high at a retail level but then disencourage people from selling their car because you're not going to offer them a fair price, then the second-hand market for electric cars is going to stall a bit because people aren't going to want to change their car. There's no doubt about it. If I'd have only got £26,000 as a best offer for this car, I would not have sold it. It's just not worth it. It's worth more than that to me, so it's not worth changing for that since it is such a good car. But anyway, it only took a couple of weeks. I have sold my car. They're coming to pick it up this afternoon, and I'm out on my final drive. And yeah, I've definitely had the full Hyundai experience now, haven't I? Because I was out in the car on Saturday at a dog event with Susan, and just as I was about to leave, I couldn't open the boot of the car, and I was wondering what on earth was going on. Why wasn't the clicker working? And it was a flat battery. The 12 volt was dead, the car wouldn't turn on at all, so the doors wouldn't open on the electric locking. So I was a bit stranded, stuck, and thankfully Hyundai with their new cars give you free recovery services, so AA cover is built into the car. Keep getting it serviced through Hyundai and they top up your Hyundai recovery. And that worked really well. It only took 30 to 40 minutes for the AA to turn up. It took him about 2 minutes to plug his black and red cable onto the battery and asked me to start the engine, which of course made me laugh. And we just turned the car on and it was on instantly. The battery didn't take any time to charge. He measured the amps at the battery and it was accepting charge. The battery isn't knackered. It was just flat. So the question always with those things is, how on earth did I have a flat battery? Was it because of this new BMS update that takes away the auxiliary battery saver feature? Supposedly it just works and stays on, and you don't need to turn it on and off, etc. So it should have still worked. But since that update was done, which was well over a week beforehand, I have not seen that message saying that auxiliary battery saver was used. So I don't know now whether that message comes up or doesn't come up anymore. I have no idea whether it worked or whether it didn't. All I know is I had a flat battery. I did go out for a long test drive. That was my Necton visit just a few days beforehand, and therefore the battery should have been fully charged. So plausibly it doesn't make sense why the battery was flat. So that only leaves me with the conclusion that maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I know I'm very good at closing doors and the boot and turning the ignition off. If it beeps as I get out, I know to go back and turn it off. But just maybe I was distracted, and maybe I did leave the ignition on. Maybe I did leave the boot slightly ajar. I mean, how else could the battery have gone flat, especially in such a way that it wasn't topped up beforehand, because it didn't need to be, but suddenly it was flat. The only common thing that makes sense is the battery was discharged while I was parked there for those 4.5 hours. And if that's the case, then it's either because of something I did, or it's because of another fault on the car, say a relay staying open somewhere and not doing what it should do. So regardless of that anyway, I've now had the full experience. I've experienced a flat battery, and my recommendation to anyone is, yes, make sure you've got your Hyundai recovery or recovery sorted for your car, and buy yourself a booster for £50–60. Having a booster just to give it that tiny boost, which is all that happened with the AA, just to get yourself going and get yourself started. But one of the things I was doing while I got back home, annoyed that I'd run out, is to try and work out how on earth it could have happened. And so I did a test looking at not closing the boot properly, so leaving it slightly ajar as if it hasn't slammed shut properly, which is a problem on the Kona Electric, and then seeing what message comes up on the dash, see how much of the car stays on, leave it for over half an hour and see whether the message disappears, etc. And no, it didn't. The message on the dash stayed there, flashing, saying the boot was not shut. There was no audible alert though, which, you know, that's a fault, Hyundai, that if you're going to deplete the 12-volt battery through not shutting the boot properly, you ought to at least have an alert to say that the boot's open, you know, as you walk away. The car even locks. Even though the boot's not shut properly, you don't get an audible alarm, but everything locks and the wing mirrors go in, so all the indications are you're fine. And I can see how people could easily get that wrong. And when I went back, yes, the message was still flashing, so it would have been depleting the battery. So anyway, that was one way that you could deplete the battery. The other surprised me. I plugged the OBD reader into the USB socket that you use for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And what I noticed was that socket's live and works even when the car's off. And I didn't know that. So 2 years with the car, I didn't actually know that that USB socket can be used and provide power even when the ignition's off. Whereas if I move the socket down to the USB connection under the center console, that doesn't provide power until you've got the ignition on. So if you plug things into that USB socket that are drawing power, that's another way that you could lose some 12-volt battery power. And again, there's me sort of getting upset and angry at the car for the BMS update, and that's probably what's caused it, and me sort of ranting about it. So yeah, I haven't really loved this car in the last day or so, but one of the things that I have loved about the car is after it was serviced at Motor Vogue Norwich, I had all the wheels swapped around, so they've been alternated on both sides and front and back. And you know, I don't know what they do during the service, you know, to grease the hinges and a few other bits and pieces, but the car has felt really, really smooth this week. Driving it, it's almost as if an edge has been taken off it, and it's quieter, it's smoother, it just feels better, as if, you know, it has had a service. And that's a little bit sad, because it feels like it's almost at its best, and that's when I'm letting go of it. So again, a little bit disappointing that the car's going. Last couple of days, I've given it its last wash. A bit pointless really, because they're about to drive 160 miles in the rain and get the car filthy, so I needn't have bothered. But I've cleaned the inside. I'll give a sanitised wipe down on the touch surfaces as well before they get it. Empty all my stuff. Look for the service book. Look for the nuts for the wheels. The V5 document. I have to do all of those things. Get it all ready. And then it's gone. And sorry for the shaky camera on this, I haven't got my mount anymore. I've taken it out of the car, so I forgot to bring it for this video. But never mind, my last Kona Electric video. Thank you very much for watching, thanks for sharing the journey. If you've gone out and bought a Kona Electric, I still stand by what I've said. It probably is the best electric car on the market you can buy today for under £40,000. The range, the efficiency, the comfort, the tech, the quality of the car is beyond anything else you can buy. And no, I would not and will not be trading this for a Model 3 Tesla. Thank you all for watching, and yeah, I look back at some of those original videos of me buying it and the enthusiasm when this Kona first came to market, And it is fantastic that it's continued, that there's a new model out, and it's fantastic that the Kona is still at the top 2 years later. I'm really pleased for, I feel like saying Hyundai, I'm really pleased for Hyundai that they've done such a good job and they're now producing more of them and more are being sold to customers. But do you know, I really don't care about Hyundai anymore. Part of the reason for me leaving the Hyundai brand and selling the Hyundai car is Hyundai themselves as a company. How they treat customers in the UK especially is not good. There seems to be this inbuilt attitude in the company that there's secrecy and all that matters is their car and their technology. The actual customers don't matter at all. They're happy to put you to an inconvenience. They're happy to put you through a process that just doesn't work, and they know it doesn't work, but they don't care because they just want to get rid of you down this side route process. And then only if you moan and moan and moan and moan and keep on at them will they actually do anything about it. I don't like it, and I could do with a brand change. So, on a final negative vibe of losing this car, letting it go, and letting go of my angst against Hyundai, then goodbye. Thank you for watching, and there will be more videos to come. I'll be doing solar videos, solar battery videos, and there'll be more EV videos coming soon. Thanks for watching. As always, take care. Bye for now.